blessed ones of the nations of the world, one more time. Thus, as your brother Dan Moses or say our Sarkodie of TRC, Ghana, coming to us from the land of America with a continuation of our expose, testimony, New World Disorder. We have received expose part 196, and we have gotten the understanding that God is not a problem to the teaching of the US dollar by various states. The states are not the problem. Joe Biden is the problem. God went ahead of the problem and gave him the solution. He despised it. And now Joe Biden doesn't understand the consequence of what he has done, and is still seeking to create more problem for his nation by supporting terrorists to cowardly seek to commit terrorism against Ghana. Bangladesh, this is what God knows. Your national embassy since 2020 have been involved in the terrorizing of this Ghanaian to your eventual cowardly, to the eventual cowardly secret killing of His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings in the year 2020. Your national embassy and your citizens, traitors against your nation in America, they have been involved. And one more time, we have some of your citizens loving money more than life. They fear not God, but what to do in the face of the White House confusion, in the face of the Flagstaff House confused state of mind, in the face of global wickedness against the nations of the world. What to do is to get understanding from the Lord as to what is happening to humanity, what is happening to your family. God, get understand what is happening to your family, what is happening in your community, what is happening in the nation, what is being done to us as members of the human race. What are they doing to us? What is happening? Did you hear that? I'm saying that what we need to do is to get understanding from God as to what is happening to your own life, what is happening to your children's life. Lord, what is happening? Lord, what is happening to the family? Lord, what is happening to the nation? Lord, what is happening to the community? What is happening to the church? Lord, give us understanding. We are going back to John chapter 12. We've dwelled there for a long time, and I bet if any politician of the Flagstaff House, of Washington DC, of the White House, dare complain that we have dwelt in John 12 for far too long, you tell them they are being paranoid, they are being delusional, they are being psychotic, and therefore they should beware. Otherwise, we would vaccinate them. We will get them medically terrorized with vaccines because they are living in a BP mindset. Their shadow of BP is haunting them about we dwelling in John chapter 12. Therefore, I go back to John chapter 12. We are on John 12:12. John chapter 12 verse 12. We have heard so much about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead, and We have heard how a day before that people stood in the house of God. They were taking counsel to kill Jesus in the house of God. They were taking leaders, were taking to kill Jesus. We heard so much. They are now at John 12:12. I read on. This is called the triumphant entry. Let's read. On the next day, much people have told you how the Jews, Jesus' own people, received Jesus and appreciated the miraculous raising of Lazarus from the dead. But the politicians, the diplomats, the religious leaders they didn't want to see Jesus. But the Jews wanted to see him. Let's go. So on the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him. These are the Jews. Are you hearing? You don't know. You think that the Jews didn't like their man. Let's read. Took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel. Did you hear that? I will take it again. 13. Took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. When Jesus walked here, the leaders of his time never understood and never knew who he was, because they had him their heart beyond measure. But the ordinary people, the ordinary Jew who feared God, knew Jesus as the King of Israel. Pilate, Caesar, Caiaphas, all of them didn't want Jesus to take their throne. But the Jews did not need to go cast vote to know that Jesus was their king. That's what the Bible is saying. Let's go on. And Jesus, when he had found a young ass, that's why the Americans don't want they like the King James version. But the King James version was in the beginning was the word. You have adulterated the word and you are moving away from the truth because you don't want to hear the truth. And Jesus, when he has found an ass, in other words, a camel, sat thereon. So America, if you don't want to hear the word, Jesus sat on an ass. You can just, Jesus sat on a camel. Don't tear the Bible and say you are making this simple. Let's go on. He sat thereon, as it is written, fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, thy king cometh sitting on an ass, or sitting on a donkey's colt. These things understood not his disciples at the first. But when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things were written of him, and they had done these things unto him. Even the disciples didn't understand Jesus the Messiah, but the ordinary Jew, they didn't know him as their king and gathered to receive him. Let's go on. The people, therefore, that was with him when he called Lazarus out of his grave, the people, therefore, that were with Jesus when he called Lazarus out of the grave, that's what the Bible is saying, and raised him from the dead, bear record. Eh? They bear record that Jesus is being declared the Messiah, the King of Israel, by his own people, because they know the truth that the man has the power over death and is able to bring the dead back to life. And when he is killed, when he that has power over death is killed, he has the power to bring himself back to life. Akwa to the program, testimony, new world disorder. Blessed ones, this that I'm saying is that even Jesus' own people did not understand, the disciples did not understand that Jesus is the King of Israel. They didn't understand. But the ordinary, the simple-hearted, the despised, the rejected, those that are not counted, they knew him and understood what God is doing amongst them. Now let it come down to your level. Let me come down to our level, that we understand this. This one too, the FBI knows, the CIA knows, the BNI, Permutation NIB of Ghana, the National Security Police of Ghana, they know, the police headquarters of Ghana, Dampari and his covering counterparts, they all know that year after year, God has made this African present a book titled Occupy Till I Come to the United Nations, to international authorities, including the African Union and the International Criminal Court Hague. Occupy till I come. Sometimes in the year, I have presented it twice because if global events are changing and God asked me to revise the book, I revise it. I alert them that I'm revising the book. When I finish, I'll present. When I finish, then I'll present it to them. This has happened year after year. The United Nations cannot deny this. However, in the year 2020, I hinted the United Nations that I'm revising the book. I hinted the International Criminal Court. I hinted the African. I'm revising the book because God demands that I revise it, and they knew that I was revising the book. However, upon completion of the revision of the book, God told me, tell them you have finished revising the book. But this time, don't go and give a copy of the book to them. Don't go and give it to them. Because there is an amazing thing that I am going to do in the world. They are in the book. In the year 2021, in the year 2021, I told the same authorities I'm revising the book. 2021, I revised the book and I sent them a copy. I put it, God made me put it in a junk state. Because God has spoken to the nation Ghana over and over again that you are destroying my nation, I don't want that. And God made me took a copy of the junk, revised it to a junk state, took a copy to the Supreme Court of Ghana. God needed them to know that you are destroying democracy. Sit up and let the will of the people prevail. Don't allow the Joe Biden's U.S. government money to destroy democracy and justice and Supreme Court don't despise democracy and choose money. Enough of the treachery of some politicians of our nation, despising the blood of our people for money from external forces. And so I took the junk copy to them. In that junk copy, God made me to describe the source of the problem of Ghana, pointing to them that I call the problem, I call the creator of the problem as Nana Inye Who, Nana Inye Who. But the book is full of so many coded messages. Because I know the CIA, they use codes a lot. So the book, I refer to Nana Addo Akufo as Nana Onyehu, in spite of they destroying democracy, cowardly secret killing of people, and covering up for money from the U.S. government and in the worship of the U.S. After all, Nana Onyehu. However, in the confused mindset of the treacherous of my nation, they misinterpreted the Nana Yehu. That Nana is then in Yehu, because it was coded, they didn't understand it. They linked the problem of Ghana to Netanyahu, the Yehu. You understand? They were confused. And what happened as a result of the scandal powers in America, it eventually caused the throne of Netanyahu in Israel. He had been the head of state of Israel for so many years. Therefore, in 2022, God told me, revise the book and bring Netanyahu back on the throne of Israel. And I did. At the same time, God was preparing the way, made some statement in favor of His Excellency Donald Trump and the FBI, getting to know that God has a purpose for Donald Trump. The next day after that statement had been made in favor of Donald Trump in the book that I was revising, Joe Biden and his White House pushed FBI buttons to attack Trump immediately for stealing state secret, classified document, or whatever I call it. America, did you hear this? The attack on Trump's and at his residence was a plot, willful plot, because if he had the documents, Joe Biden and his administration, the FBI, the CIA, they all have known it for a long time. Why is it that they suddenly took that step? There was something that they knew from Ghana. Akwa to the program, testimony, new world disorder. By the grace of God, I was given understanding to global. My name is Daniel. Into global unfoldings, and God demanded that His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, my friend Bibi, it was the counsel of God that you go and come back. Israel, are we hearing this? God intended that he goes and come back, and through the African, God brought him back. I shall if the FBI, CIA, they are all saying it's not so. Forensic examination of the book, which the United States have received year after international criminal court, year after year, Hmm? And the African will have received year after year. When I send a copy of the final revised version in 2022, when God says that I'm going to I've made you to do that work, it shall bring back Netanyahu as the Prime Minister of Israel again. When they receive the book and they say that that is not the case, forensic examination, analysis can prove from the book that ever since I finished revising the book, no change has been made in the book. Yes, no change has been made in the book until His Excellency Netanyahu has been brought by God to the throne of Israel. Humanity and the nations of the world. Why do I have to tell you this? I have to tell you to know that there is a God that created this universe. He owns the kings and the kingdoms of the earth. Whichever king he establishes, whichever king he pulls down is pulled down. Whichever kingdom he establishes, whichever kingdom he pulls down is pulled down. If I had not shared with us this, some will still continue to heckle and not understand that God has a purpose of bringing His Excellency Netanyahu to Israel one more time. If I had not shared this with you, you would lack the understanding. That is why I'm telling us that it is very, very important that as a nation, as a family, as a community, as a church, as an individual, at any point in time, what is it that God is doing? What is it that global treacherous forces have colluded together? Let's terrorize this African, let's kill his family members, let's kill his reverend minister, let's kill his politicians, let's kill his diplomat, let's render him financially penniless, let's kidnap him and sex his wife up. And when he talks about the fact that you have kidnapped me and you sexed up my wife and you have trespassed the counsel of God, he say, shut up African, we are politicians, we are diplomats. If you talk further, we'll terrorize the whole of humanity, we'll vaccinate them, we'll silence them, we'll knock them down. And what is it that they want from this African? What is it that they want from his two tortured and abducted children? What lesson hasn't God taught them to know that this greatest witch and a serpent that sneaked into my bedroom has troubled Israel, troubled Africa, troubled Europe, troubled Asia, troubled Australia, troubled every single nation of the world, troubled his own nation, troubled his father's blood. And Yahweh says she's not allowing her to enter my bedroom as my wife for the second time. Period. He has no discussion with anybody at the United Nations. No, because the United Nations has no power to force a marriage on anybody. Not the White House, not the Flag Staff House, nobody has the power to impose a marriage on anybody in America or any part of the world. So this shows how big Joe Biden's problem is. He's living in the efficacy of his imagination and the nonsense of thinking that there's no law in America and he has the power to pay bribe Supreme Court. Sorry, Supreme Court. I know it's only Chief Justice in India, but maybe the others didn't take. Maybe they took a little. They didn't take much like the big Chief Justice. So yeah, Elias was a man of like passion like us. But they say, God made me suffer all this because He has a purpose for us in this time. that we stand together and say to the powers that be that we don't want how you have dealt with humanity. We don't want the way you are leading the world. We don't want the way you are leading the human race. We don't want the way you have dealt with us. We don't want it anymore. Stop it. God is hurt in the heart. Anytime the people of God have been dealt, have been oppressed, enslaved, and God says enough of the enslavement. He comes to work and does some terrible things. Ghana, nobody should dare go take money to allow terrorism to be committed against my people. Don't do it. If you go take money, whether you are a Congress, whether you are a parliamentarian, whether you are the president, whoever you are, there, God has closed and has taken over the battle. If my people are killed, if my finances are touched, God said, don't, enough, stop it. God doesn't want that. Joe, don't use any corporate body in America to ever commit terror against Ghana. Don't do it. You know why? The same book, Occupy Till I Come, God has made me, by his finger, to write the end of this undercover agent and her mother. God is only giving her the opportunity to cease from her evil and hating me and her wickedness against her own children, her troubling of Israel and the nations, the troubling of America, the troubling of God. God has given her more than enough time. God has written the end of this matter in the book Occupy Till I Come. The one that the United Nations has, it has the end, the copy that they have. The final copy that I have, it still has the end of this matter in it. So somebody tell this undercover agent that, hey, remember, God has decided that even if you touch his finances, he touches lives. You understand? If you touch his finance, he does not just touch finance in response, he touches life. So let's understand that God is at work in our world, in your nation, in your community. Let's open up to ask God, Lord, what are you doing? Give us understanding that we may flee and take refuge in thee against the evil that is at work against the human race and against the treachery of the powers. Christ Jesus is my Lord. Whether you are a Jew or Muslim, a Judaist or a Muslim, you worship or you do not worship, I commend to you Christ my Lord. It is by his grace that I still live and continue to hold his word. United Kingdom, Europe, Asia, Australia, I bring to us some understanding as to what is happening to us. God bless you. And God bless my homeland, Ghana. We shall meet